Welcome to PAR Podcast, episode 77.32. PAR Podcast is an audio supplement for Public Administration Review, the premier professional journal in the field of public administration. This year, 2016, inaugurates PAR's 76th year furthering public administration research, theory, and practice. This episode features comments by Jue Young Mok, a doctoral candidate in the Martin School of Public Policy and Administration at the University of Kentucky. Jue Young discusses her article titled Citizen Expectations and Satisfaction in a Young Democracy, a test of the Expectancy-Disconfirmation Model, co-authored with Professor Nicolai Petrovsky from the Martin School of Public Policy and Administration at the University of Kentucky, and Professor Filadelfo León-Cázares from the University of Guadalajara in Mexico. This article is currently available in early view and will be published in Public Administration Review, Issue 77, Volume 3.
Citizen satisfaction is widely mentioned. Public organizations measure citizen satisfaction as an indicator of their performance evaluation and use it as feedback from citizens. Researchers try to understand citizen satisfaction by using the Expectancy-Disconfirmation Model. This model was originally developed to understand consumer behaviors in the private market. Basically, the model tells us that consumers are likely to be satisfied when the quality of a service exceeds their expectations. On the other hand, they tend to be dissatisfied when the quality of a service falls short of their expectations. Here, expectations for services function as a reference point. It is a standard or criterion for individuals to compare and judge whether the service is good or bad. Recently, a series of research applied the Expectancy-Disconfirmation Model to learn citizen satisfaction with public services and showed that the model also works in public sector. There are two goals for this study. The first is to test the Expectancy-Disconfirmation Model in a new societal context, Guadalajara, Mexico in 2014. Most citizen satisfaction studies using the Expectancy-Disconfirmation Model are done in the setting of well-developed democratic societies, such as the United States and United Kingdom. Such contexts have relatively transparent processes of policy decision-making and policy implementation. There are few studies in the context of young democracy that is still struggling to develop dependable institutions and citizen trust in government. We do not know how the Expectancy-Disconfirmation Model will work in this kind of context. Our study shows that the model works in this relatively new setting. Mexican citizens were more satisfied when perceived government performance was higher than their expectations. On the contrary, they are likely to be dissatisfied when perceived government performance was lower than their expectations. Another goal is to evaluate the different roles of citizen expectations about government performance. Existing studies subdivided expectations into normative and empirical expectations and have demonstrated their different roles in citizen satisfaction. Normative expectations reflect the end state of the service, which includes individual values and beliefs about the ideal state. In order to have an excellent quality, there are certain standards that should be met. Whether the service is likely to provide or not is not the main concern. On the other hand, empirical expectations focus on the feasibility of the service rather than its end state. Such expectations are about whether a certain level of quality will be met in the future. We wanted to test whether there are differences between the citizens with normative expectations and empirical expectations. We collected our data through a multi-stage sampling. In the first stage, areas were randomly selected. Then, by following the statistical protocol, surveyors randomly selected a house and knocked on the door. Randomly, half of the respondents were prompted to hold normative expectations, and the others were informed so as to have empirical expectations about public services. Unlikely, our results did not find a significant difference between the groups. The first takeaway is that the expectancy-disconfirmation model can be widely used across diverse types of democracies. So, for public managers and policy decision makers, knowing how much citizens expect from them and how citizens perceive their performance will help them to understand citizen satisfaction. This can provide further insights as to how they should approach to citizens and interact with them. Another conclusion is that we need to be cautious when subdividing expectations into normative and empirical expectations. We need to consider the complex and dynamic nature of expectations and adopt a more comprehensive meaning of the concept.
This concludes PAR Podcast, episode 77.32. To listen to additional episodes and learn more about Public Administration Review, please visit us online at publicadministrationreview.org. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at PA Review. Thanks for listening.